War, a tragic chapter in Nigeria's history, continues to cast a long shadow over the nation. From 1967 to 1970, the young nation was embroiled in a brutal civil war that claimed the lives of millions. This conflict, rooted in ethnic tensions, political instability, and economic disparities, left an indelible mark on Nigeria's social, political, and cultural landscape. The war exposed the fragility of national unity and the devastating consequences of unresolved grievances. The war was a stark reminder of the human cost of division and the urgent need for dialogue and reconciliation. Even decades after the guns fell silent, the legacy of Biafra continues to shape Nigeria's present and future. The echoes of the conflict resonate in the country's political discourse, ethnic relations, and collective memory. Understanding the Biafran War is essential to comprehending the complexities of modern Nigeria. The roots of the Biafran War can be traced back to the colonial era. British rule in Nigeria, while ushering in modernization and infrastructure development, also sowed the seeds of discord among the diverse ethnic groups within its borders. The British employed a policy of divide and rule, exacerbating existing tensions and creating a system where power was often concentrated in the hands of a select few. This policy, coupled with uneven economic development, fostered resentment and mistrust among different regions. The predominantly Muslim North lagged behind the predominantly Christian South in terms of education and economic opportunities. This disparity created a sense of marginalization and fueled calls for greater autonomy. These simmering tensions came to a head in the years following Nigeria's independence in 1960. The first decade of Nigerian independence was marked by political instability and ethnic violence. A series of coups and counter-coups rocked the nation, each further deepening the divides within society. In 1966, a group of Igbo officers staged a coup, assassinating the Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, and several other prominent politicians from the north and west. This coup, though short-lived, had far-reaching consequences. It fueled anti-Igbo sentiment in the north, leading to a series of reprisal attacks against Igbo communities. Fearing for their safety and seeking self-determination, the Igbo-majority eastern region, under the leadership of Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, declared its secession from Nigeria on May 30, 1967, and proclaimed the Republic of Biafra. The Nigerian government, determined to preserve the unity of the nation, responded swiftly to Biafra's secession with military force. The ensuing conflict, known as the Biafran War or the Nigerian Civil War, lasted for nearly 3 years and became one of the bloodiest chapters in African history. The war was characterized by its brutality, with both sides accused of committing atrocities against civilians. The Nigerian government imposed a blockade on Biafra, cutting off its supply routes and leading to a catastrophic famine. Millions of Biafrans, mostly children, died from starvation and disease. The war finally came to an end on January 15, 1970, when Biafra surrendered to the Nigerian forces. The war left an indelible scar on the Nigerian psyche. It resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1 to 3 million people, mostly civilians, and displaced millions more. Section 5, Scars of Conflict. The war's impact on Nigerian society. The Biafran War had a profound impact on Nigerian society. It deepened ethnic and religious divisions, creating a legacy of mistrust and resentment that continues to affect relations between different groups. The war also had a devastating impact on the Nigerian economy. The eastern region, once a thriving hub of industry and agriculture, was left in ruins. Reconstruction efforts were slow and often inadequate, leaving many Igbos feeling marginalized and excluded from the political and economic mainstream. The war also led to the displacement of millions of Nigerians, both within the country and across its borders. Many fled to neighboring countries as refugees, while others were internally displaced, losing their homes and livelihoods. Section 6, A Legacy of Silence. The Biafran War in Modern Nigeria. In the aftermath of the war, the Nigerian government adopted a policy of no victor, no vanquished. While this policy aimed to foster reconciliation and national unity, it also led to a culture of silence around the war. The Biafran War became a taboo subject, largely absent from public discourse and school curricula. This silence, while intended to promote healing, also hindered efforts at truth and reconciliation. Many Nigerians, particularly those from the younger generation, grew up with limited knowledge of the war and its complexities. This lack of awareness has contributed to a sense of historical amnesia, making it difficult to fully address the root causes of the conflict and prevent its recurrence. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of Biafran nationalism, particularly among the Igbo youth. The indigenous people of Biafra, or IPOB, a separatist group, has been at the forefront of this movement, calling for the secession of the southeastern region from Nigeria. IPOB's rhetoric and activities have reignited tensions and raised concerns about the potential for renewed conflict. The Nigerian government has designated IPOB as a terrorist organization and has cracked down on its activities, often resorting to force. This heavy-handed approach has further alienated some Igbos and fueled accusations of marginalization and human rights abuses. The resurgence of Biafran nationalism highlights the unresolved grievances and the need for a more inclusive approach to addressing the legacies of the past. Section 8. Navigating the narrative misinformation and the Biafran struggle. The Biafran struggle has also been complicated by the spread of misinformation and propaganda. Both sides of the conflict have engaged in historical revisionism, often portraying themselves as victims and demonizing the other. The internet and social media have become fertile ground for the dissemination of false narratives and hate speech. This proliferation of misinformation has made it challenging to have nuanced and fact-based discussions about the war and its legacies. It has also fueled tensions and hindered efforts at reconciliation. Addressing the spread of misinformation and promoting media literacy are crucial steps in fostering a more accurate and balanced understanding of the Biafran War. Section 9. Remembering Biafra, the importance of truth and reconciliation. The Biafran War, though a painful chapter in Nigeria's history, holds important lessons for the nation and the world. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating consequences of ethnic and religious intolerance. Remembering Biafra is not about glorifying war or perpetuating divisions. It is about acknowledging the past, learning from its mistakes, and working towards a more just and equitable future. Nigeria must confront its past through a process of truth and reconciliation. This process should involve acknowledging the atrocities committed by all sides, providing justice for the victims, and fostering dialogue and understanding among different communities. Only by confronting its past can Nigeria truly heal and build a more united and prosperous future.